Okay, the next chunk where it says write each equation in quadratic form if possible, so 13 through 18. Um, don't overthink it. Let's hear like 13. In quadratic form is just your ax squared plus bx plus c. You want it in a square term and then a 1. So we have 13, you have 10 b4 plus 3b squared minus 11. I always look at this term here because that's b squared. So can I get this to a b squared with a power of 2? Because this pretty much has to be, that can't really change much because you want it to have a power of 1. So it'd be a power of 1. And then here, if I break that down to b squared and I put a power of 2 out there because that needs to be a 2 and that needs to be a 1, does that give me the same thing there? Yes, because power to a power is 2 times 2 gives me 4 and 2 times 1 is 1. So that's about all you're doing there. So then on 14, if we have negative 5x 8 plus x squared plus 6. So again, I go to my middle term there. I'm going to keep that the same because I want that to be a power of 1. You don't need that 1. So now here, I'm going to put x squared because those need to match. Now, I would have to get 8 out here, I'd have to have a 4 there because 4 times 2 is 8. So this is not possible for these to be the same. So like 14, not possible. Let's see here. 15, this one's a little bit different. But again, you just want to break it down to a squared. Quadratic has to be squared. So on 15, you have 28d6 plus 25d cubed. So again, I go to this, my last term, my middle term here, because technically this you could think of a plus 0, but you don't need that. So I'm going to keep that 25d cubed. Now I'm going to bring a d cubed out of here. And then what needs to be out here to get a 6? 3 times 2. So there's gives my quadratic, and then that gives me my 1. I'll do 16 quick. So you have 4c8 plus 4c4 plus 7. I'm going to go here. I'm going to keep my c4. Here I'm going to bring out a c4. And then to get 8, I have to have a 2 there. There's my quadratic. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next chunk, the solving piece. I'll start with 19. Now, I don't know exactly what he did. So it might be a little bit different. But first of all, we're just going one step further than the first chunk, the 1 through 12, because we need to solve. So first of all, you need to check what can I take out of everything. I can take a y squared out because we have 4, 3, 2. So I have y squared left here minus 7. I only have one y left here, and then I have no y there. Now again, go back to our old way, how we did on the very first ones. I'll leave this alone. I can't forget about this, but I'm going to leave it alone until the end. My first term here, I have a 1, so I can do my shortcut. You don't have to, you can do the long way. So that just means I can go right to my last term. So multiples of a negative 18 that add in negative 7. So negative 9, positive 2. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. And then this gives me my y and my y. So I just have y minus 9 and y plus 2. And then I have my y squared in the front that I can't forget. And we're just going to go one step further. So set everything, even this, equal to 0. So you have y squared equals 0, y minus 9 equals 0, and y plus 2 equals 0. So this, square root it off, that just gives you 0. Add 9. And subtract your 2. 20 is similar. 21. So there's only 2 terms. I did not see any on the homework. What's the difference of cubes? So like if that was a power of 3 and that was a cube root, but this is even. So I always think of the difference of squares. Because the difference is a minus sign. Now the square root of m4 is m squared, and then the square root of 625 is 25. So we have m squared minus 25 and m squared plus 25. Now notice this chunk here is another difference of squares. So difference minus sign squares mean both terms are perfect squares. This is not, because that's a plus sign, it's not difference. So again, your square root of m squared is m, and then the square root of 25 is 5. So you have m minus 5, m plus 5, and then m squared plus 25. And then again, you need to set each term equal to 0. M minus 5 equals 0, m plus 5 equals 0, and m squared plus 25 equals 0. So this one gives me 5. This one gives me negative 5. Careful here, putting a lot together here. You have m squared equals negative 25. Square root it. So you square rooted it, so you have plus or minus. Square root of 25 is 5. And then remember, a negative is plus or minus 5i. 22 is the same. You take an n squared out. I'll do 24. So we have t4 minus 21 t squared plus c. Okay, just careful because that's a 4 there. Again, shortcut version, you have a 1 there. So I like to go right to multiples of 80 that add to negative 21. I don't know this one. Sorry. Five and 16. So negative 5, negative 16. Add to negative 21, multiply by positively. Now the biggest thing here is it's t4, so this is going to give you t squared and t squared. So we have t squared minus 5 and t squared minus 16. Now, there's kind of 2 different ways you can continue to factor this, because this right here is actually a difference of squares, like we did with this one up here. We continue to factor it. But you can also go right to solving. So you can go right to t squared minus 5 equals 0 and t squared minus 16 equals 0. Add your 5 over, add your 16 over, square root. So you got plus or minus square root of 5, and then plus or minus 4. And you can leave square root or a decimal there.